Hey everybody, welcome back to Moon Acres. Hopefully you saw part one of this series of starting the seeds in trays and then upgrading them to cups and preparing them to go outside this spring. So this is part two. I wanted to talk about kind of some concepts, some easy concepts for starting a raised bed in whatever the situation is that you're working with. With raised beds, there's a lot of different things. I don't want to say controversy, but you'll see that we have treated wood for our raised beds. Now, some people are really concerned about that, and I've read a lot of articles that basically say you shouldn't be. The big concern is over things like arsenic. Before 2003, wood companies put arsenic in treated wood, and that's what kept things from growing. They also had copper-based fungicides, stuff like that. But after 2003, I think it was EPA made it illegal to put arsenic in the wood. So now we still have the copper-based fungicides and like quats, which are a type of basically food-grade sanitizer. They're used in restaurants. They're used around all over the place, day to day. And the big concern really is with the copper, because it's a metal and the plant's absorbing that. But from what I read is the plant to absorb enough to pass on to humans, the plant would actually have to die. And if the plant died, well, we're probably weeding it out of the garden, not eating it. So I'm really not too concerned about it. I think we're gonna be okay. We've been growing in this garden for over a year now, and everything is hunky-dory. But we started this last year in a response to kind of all the events in the world that were going on, and we needed to do it quick. Not only because we were kind of freaked out about what was going on in the world, but we had to build this fence, and to fill this huge garden we had to have heavy machinery in here, basically digging up dirt and bringing it in. And so we had to get it done quick, fast, in a hurry before spring was on top of us. So we're also located kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I've got about 1 or 2 sources for anything kind of home improvement or lumber. And you know, we're really limited on our resources, what's out there, and then also the money. These are really big gardens, and if they're all made of cedar, it would have cost a lot of money. So anyway, those are the things that you need to just kind of balance out to figure out what material is right for you. My first little garden that we started on was I believe it was like a 6-foot by 12-foot square that I had lined with firewood to have a raised bed, and that worked pretty good. You could always just add a little bit more if you needed to add more soil. The biggest drawback is like ants got into it, and if you weren't stepping in the right spot, all of a sudden you could have ants all the way up your leg. So, you know, advantages, disadvantages, but it's on you to figure out what's going to work best for you. If you don't have a problem with treated wood, or you're going to use something like the decking material like Trex or whatever, those are some options too, and really it's basic stuff. You're just making a box. So let's check ours out. I'll show you what we did. So I basically just got 12-foot long 2x10s and stacked them too high, and I used a 4x4 and made little posts. I wasn't very super meticulous about my measurements and everything, but these are 24-foot long by 4-foot wide, and they work out great for us. Now, we've been gardening for a few years, and it is a lot of time and effort that goes into these, but it's so worth it, especially having the 2 levels, because just the effort for bending over and the strain on your back and everything is really next to nothing compared to going all the way down to ground level. So I really am thankful that we did that. It was a pain in the butt, and it took a whole ton of soil. And then we're going to add more soil to it here before too long. It's actually sitting out in the front yard. But just to kind of top it up and mix it in with some compost and some worm castings. And so that's going to be really cool, and I'm excited for our spring garden. So for somebody that was starting out though, I would recommend something more like this size. And this is what is that? It's about a 4x8, I believe. And this is great. You could do 2 of these very easily. and you've got enough room to have just a couple of each type of plant. These are Brussels sprouts right now. We planted these in the fall. Typically our plants are way more bunched together. I like to have them kind of crowded so that it crowds out weeds, and it also keeps the ground shaded for moisture and just keeping the roots cool during the summertime. So, but really it's the same concept. Just got some 2x10s and screwed them together with some decking screws, and have 4x4s for the corner post, and that's it. And they're not set in the ground or anything like that. So if we ever sell the house and somebody hates them, they can move them, or we can move them very easily. This is a lot more dirt than you probably think. So make sure that you do get online and figure out how many bags of dirt you need, because you may be surprised. So don't underestimate that aspect of it. There's some math and stuff I'm not going to get into because I really don't know it. But for planning purposes, I recommend doing that, and you'll have a better idea of what you need. So make sure that you're also, if you're going to do beds next to each other, that you leave enough room in between for your wheelbarrow to get through, or any type of thing that you want to use in the garden, because if it's too narrow, you could be kind of up the creek trying to get through once it's all said and done. I also wish that I had braced up the 2 layers just a little bit better, because you can kind of see where the top layer bows out just a little bit there, and that could be a problem with runoff and stuff, because the water will drain to the side and then it wants to take that easiest path out there. And so those are things that, you know, if you want to add a little bit of boards connecting them on the sides or on the inside where the soil is, I recommend doing that, just so that you're not having these push out. And again, we were using backhoes and tractors and stuff to fill these things, so when we dumped a bucket full, it was a whole lot of weight hitting this all at once, and so I wasn't really expecting that, but lesson learned. So if that's the route you're going to take, just be prepared for these bowing out and brace them up just a little bit better. And then, as you've probably seen in a million other homesteading videos, the trellises. These are great. These are those 16-foot cattle panels. They run about $20 a piece, but they're so worth it. You just basically get one T-post per side and bend it to fit whatever you want. And so we can also not only grow stuff up the trellis, but we can grow other plants along the side. And so that's been really helpful, just kind of multitasking, multi-use the space there. And really, we've done pumpkins, we've done melons, all sorts of squash, and beans and peas and all that on these. They've been great, and it's really nice during the summer too, because you get some nice shade and everything. And that's also good because if you have plants that don't exactly want the full sun, then you can plant those underneath in that shade there. So just really depends what you want to do. This is our fall garden, kind of winding down. Yesterday I came through and weeded everything because we've got all that soil, and I want to prepare this really well for spring so that we hit the ground running. So there's just a little bit of stuff left over, some kohlrabi, some radishes, and what is that stuff? That's the mustard greens. They're a red mustard green, but they're actually purple. Don't tell anybody. Then our Brussels sprouts up there. We had potatoes and that guy, but I harvested those earlier. And now we've just got some cabbages, Napa cabbage. We've got some onion over in here that you can't really see. And then chard that has just been here for the long haul. And then our kohlrabi, not kohlrabi, what do you call those? Our daikon radish are over there too. So a few things. And then also, hey, let's talk about buckets, because let's say you live in the city and you just have a concrete pad and not a lot of room to do all this. Well, there's still buckets. So these are food grade buckets I picked up at Walmart for actually cheaper than what you can get the like the Lowe's buckets for. They hold up a whole heck of a lot better. in those Lowe's buckets, and just make sure that you drill some holes in the bottom and put some good soil in there so it can drain, because these can hold water and that can mess you up pretty bad. I've got one of these buckets where there's a bunch of holes drilled in the side of it because it kept holding water. So, but these are some onions I planted about a month, no, I think they're about 2-3 months ago, to tell you the truth. And so when it starts warming up springtime, these will be nice and ready. But buckets are a really easy way to do it. There's all sorts of other things you can improvise with, but again, it's just up to you to choose your own adventure. But I like these because if you have areas of your house where there's shade or there's good sun but it moves, things like that, you can move these around really easily and kind of figure out your layout. I've done all sorts of peppers, onions, potatoes. I've not done tomatoes, but you could do tomatoes in here. Pretty much the world's your oyster when it comes to buckets, so just figure out what you want to do with those. But lots of options, and just wanted to show you guys basically what we've got going on. It's nothing too crazy. Just keep it simple, because you've probably got 100 other projects and things that you've got to do, and make sure that this isn't going to be such a burden that you avoid it, that you stay away from it. It might be a little bit extra work in the beginning, making it more user-friendly for you, but it is well worth it, because this is going to be an investment of time and resources that hopefully pays you back over the long haul. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. Make sure you like this, you share it, follow us on YouTube, and help us spread the good word about homesteading in general. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and we will see you next time.